entire on-page SEO completed, it is time to look at the speed of your web page. There are many different ways of testing the speed of your website. Here are 3 examples. So today we're going to use a demo site that I have set up that has not been optimized. So the first example of how you can test your page speed would be going to developer.google.com/speed/pagespeed/insights. Or you can Google PageSpeed. So once you're at the site, paste in your web address and click on Analyze. So currently for mobile, this site is rating at a 70. And you can see it will give a breakdown of each important element of the page speed. You can also get a page speed breakdown for your desktop. Currently is sitting at 88. And again, you can go through and you can look at the different things that are holding you up. Now remember that it is almost impossible to get 100 or even close to 100. But each of the recommendations that you fix will help you get closer. The next website to test on is Pingdom Website Speed Test. Paste your URL in, select where you want to test from. This is a unique feature for Pingdom, and start test. As you can see, this has a combined score, does not show you the mobile and desktop breakdown, but the performance grade is graded out as a C at 76%. It's also giving you page size, your load time, and how many requests are being made while this is loading up. It'll also give you ideas on how you can improve. If you click on the arrow that is pointing down, you can go ahead and get tips on what you can do. And it'll also break down the rest of your site speed and give you some graphs to look at. The next website that I'm going to show you is GT Metrics. This is my favorite site just because it gives you so much information. It gives you tips on how to fix things, and it also provides history if you sign up for an account that is free. It also gives you the option of doing a comparison test where you can compare your site versus one of your competitions. Again, it gives a breakdown of the different site aspects. This site is giving it a 96 page score, but a Y-slow of 66. It took 3.2 seconds for it to fully load. Now remember that a fully load time is different than when you first get to see the website. This is when everything on that site for that page has completed. It'll also show you a breakdown of where you're at versus where the average website is. So for instance, we have a 87 score for leverage browser caching. The average score for this recommendation is 61%. So although we are not at 100 or even 95 or 96, we are well above the average site, which means this might be one of those pieces that you're not going to be able to get up really, really high, but if you're doing better than average, it's probably a great thing. You have different tabs that you can go through, and you can see the different things that you can work on to get your site faster. In this case, we are getting an F or a 0 for Content Delivery Network. So you can use a CDN to help speed up your distribution of files. You can see that the average is 26% for this, and we're at a 0 because we are not using one. Add expiring headers. So this is something where it's going to give you a list of different things that you can change or do in order to make this better. There are usually tips provided that will help you be able to make it so that your website loads faster. If you go ahead and click on what does this mean, hit read more, it will go into an in-depth page of how you can fix this to where it loads faster. So then you have the waterfall breakdown. This shows where you're losing your most time. So in this case, we are waiting on the server. So you can see that if I hover over the bar, it's going to give me a breakdown of each color and what it is doing and why, or what it is waiting for. So in this case, it is the server that we are waiting on, and that is defined in a purple color. This can also help you find files that are too large for your website that may be slowing it down. Another great way of speeding up your website is to do a inspection of it. So if you go to your website and you right click and select inspect, it's going to give you all kinds of information. The tab you're going to want to click on is network. And when you first click on it, you're not going to see anything because this was not open when the web page loaded. So it does not have any information yet. So we're going to go ahead and click on refresh or reload. And we're going to go back to the network, and we're going to highlight or sort by size. So if you sort by size and then you scroll down, you'll see that most of this is cached. And in this case, we are loading at 1.6 seconds according to Google. So if we wanted to take a look at this uncached, we'll go back to the web page, right click on the reload, and select empty cache and hard reload. What this is going to do is it's going to clear out the cache that is holding your files ready to go, and instead it's going to rerun and look at every file when that request comes in. So let's go ahead and go back to Network tab now, and we'll see that when there's no cached information, that the fully loaded finish time was 17 seconds. Big difference from 1.6 to 17 seconds. Now let's go ahead and look at the size column. And we're going to sort from smallest to largest. And we're going to go down and we're going to see what took the longest to load. So if we go to the very bottom, we'll notice that there's a file at 272 kilobytes. That is the Untitled 7-5 file. Got another one at 100 kilobytes, and then we have a bunch that are in the teens to 70. Now 78 kilobytes, that is a good area to be in. You want to try to avoid any files that are over 100 kilobytes if possible, just because they're going to slow everything down. So what is this Untitled 7-5? So if we click on it, it's going to show us in the preview that image over on the right hand side. So we can go back to the web page, scroll down, and find that that image, which is behind here in the background, is causing our site to load a little bit slow. So what I would normally recommend is you go to that file and you reduce it to a little bit less quality or size so that it loads faster. Sometimes you're going to have files that are larger on your website to maintain a quality look to it. Now let's go ahead and reload this after having it clear out the cache and see what the load speed is again. So now that it has recached your files, you can see by disk cache and memory cache that those files are no longer loading up. It's just remembering those files based on what it had last time. And you can see that your load time is 2.49 seconds now. One of the ways that you can improve that is by adding a caching plugin to your WordPress website. I use WP Fastest Cache. There are many of them that are out there, and it is rather simple to use. So after it has been installed, I just click on Enable, and we're going to go through all the defaults. We're going to create a cache file for each type of page to preload, meaning it's going to go ahead and cache those for you before somebody goes to the site. By default, we are going to just click on everything on the main page or the settings tab. Once you've finished that, go ahead and hit submit. And let's go ahead and go back to the home page. And we're going to reload it. And let's do a GT performance report now. So we're going to hit retest. Now you'll see that our performance score is a 97 and 87 with a fully load time of 1.2. That's a significant difference between before the plugin and after. You'll notice your Y-score went up considerably. It has added the expiring headers to your site, bringing it from 0 to 100. And it has gone ahead and mimified JavaScript and CSS and other things on your website. The one thing you want to be careful of is you want to go back and you want to make sure you look at your website and make sure that nothing is abnormal. Sometimes when using a caching program, they can mimify files, which is just minimizing the amount of file that's being used by removing white space and unnecessary parts and making it one line. This saves space and makes the load time faster. But sometimes it can create adverse effects on your website, causing images or sections of your website not to load properly. One of the most common is your social media icons. Because those are usually stored in a CSS file, and when that is mimified, they do not load properly. In this case, using the theme and builder that I am using, there's no issues. So we have reduced our website load time by half with no bad side effects. So that's how you test your page speed. So bring up your site. You can test it in PageSpeed Insights. You can test it in Pingdom. Or you can test it in my favorite, GT Metrics. And that'll give you an idea of what you need to work on to make your site load faster. If you are using a WordPress website, using a caching program will help you solve a lot of these problems. One thing to remember is when you're logged in and making changes to your website, it is not going to use a cached version. So your website is loading up without caching the files. So when you go to work on your site, it's going to be slower. But once somebody has clicked on that web page, or if it has preloaded it, they will be using a cached file, which will increase the speed significantly.